Hey guys, still here and welcome back to Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. This time around with an interesting scenario called Coastal Defense by God Emperor of Mankind. No less. That's a hell of a title. After Finland was invaded by the USSR, Sweden begins to worry that the USSR may invade it too. Sweden decides to build another coastal defense battleship and another 3 modern cruisers. This turns out to be a good idea, as the USSR declares war not long after the new ships arrive, and soon the Soviets have sent a force to bombard the coast. You will play as Sweden, just use Britain as a stand-in, and your goal is to build a coastal defense battleship that can take on the Soviet ships. Swedish fleet, tech level 1935, I will have 1 battleship and 3 heavy cruisers. The Russian ships are going to be comprised of a battleship, a light cruiser and 3 GDs from the 1930s. Now, there are a couple of limitations. Because you are building a coastal defense battleship and not a regular battleship, there are several limits. There's a low displacement, preferably about 18,000 to 20,000 tons, but no more than 22,000. That's going to be tricky. I'm not sure if the game allows me to do that. Limited main battery. No more than 6 main battery guns, but they must not exceed 14 inches. And a limited speed between 16 and 20 knots. Oof. That's going to be really uncomfortable. Because I'll have low speed, and I'll have smaller guns, I'll have fewer guns. So I'm going to have to make up for it in some other different fashion. And I think that is going to be torpedoes. Because if you are operating in those areas, then maybe torpedoes would be ideal. Now, I believe that Sweden, at least these days, is more of a nation that uses torpedo boats and corvettes to defend her coastal waters. But in this scenario, we're building a battleship, so I'm going to have to think a bit different. The heavy cruisers, I have no idea how the AI is going to design them. That'll be up to them. So let's just get designing a battleship. Or, well, rather not a battleship, but a coastal defense ship. Now here's my problem. The smallest ship that I can get has a displacement of 40,000 to 51,000 tons. So I'll use this hull and just reduce the displacement as much as possible and try to use as little of that as possible. But the scenario says no more than 20,000 tons. That's just not happening. That is just not happening. A speed... a max of 16 to 20 knots. Alright, I'll take 18 knots then. She's currently 16,000 tons. She's really, really petite for a ship like that. This is the N3G3 class. The hell is that? Might be the Nelson class. Anyway, now I'm going to have to redo this all over again. 18 knots is what I specified. Short range, many bulkheads, oil. Let's pick something else. Let's go for balanced boilers this time around. Auxiliary petrol engine, advanced propeller shaft, group 4 armor, barbettes, anti-torpedo 3, triple hull, anti-flooding 1 to make it interesting. Just mix it up a little. Armored citadel instead of the max. Generation 1 radar, advanced radio position, and let's go for something smaller. Let's go with the coincidence rangefinder. I'm not going to completely upgun it like I normally do, so let's go for semi-auto loaders and advanced hydraulic turrets. Let's say that I want to use heavy shells. And what am I going to be firing? Cordite? This has a 25% HE fire chance and 25% shell damage. But this probably has less chance of a flash fire. Yeah, this has a 20% chance of flash fire explosion. And this has 15. Okay, I'll take Cordite 2. Right, and now we're going to start to add a ton of weight to this ship. I'm already at 24,000 tons. I'm sorry, I just cannot build a ship that is as small as you might like it to be. It just doesn't work. Alright, I'm limited to no more than 6 main battery guns. Yeah. I have an idea. If I reduce my tech level to 1930s, I might get older ships to work with. No. Crap. Nope. I'm trying to get the Dreadnought too, but it just doesn't allow it. Hold on. Yeah, how about unlocking? That's a lot of different hulls. The Dreadnought 2? 29,000 to 30 tons? 35,000 tons? Modern battleship. All these things are way too heavy. So let this be a lesson for those of you who are planning on submitting a scenario. The lowest that I can go for a Dreadnought is 29,000 tons. And that is, of course, not with going for all of that speed. 29,000 tons is lowest. I might be able to just fit this thing more or less around the 20,000 ton mark, but it'll not be easy. Because this already adds a bunch of weight. But I think this might come closer to what God Emperor of Mankind has in mind. Let's quickly reattach everything. Maximum barbette thickness. Anti-flooding 2 Citadel was armored. Anti-torpedo 2. Heavy shells, Cordite 2. Gen 1 radar advanced, and we had coincidence 4. Advanced hydraulic and semi-auto loaders. Okay, let's see if I can now more or less fit myself, or the ship rather, inside of 22, oh, no more than 22,000 tons. I think I can make this work. Hold on. I have a really weird idea, but it might just work for this type of ship. It does work. We're gonna have a torpedo launcher in front of the main tower. In front of the A turret. It works. Sort of. I just have to try and use the torpedo launcher as a balancing act. That'll not be easy. And I hope that the torpedo launcher fires far enough so as not to hit my own ship. That is an important distinction. I would rather hit this thing, or have this thing launch out, than actually hit my own ship. I still have an aft weight offset, but I don't know how to fix that. Oh crap, I still need a secondary tower. Haha. Good luck with that. That's as far forward as that turret wants to go. There, secondary tower positioned. Aft weight offset 2.5%. This is gonna get pretty tricky to build. Get creative. Just get creative. Torpedo propellant. Electrics. Range. 12.3. That will do. Now I'm still also fighting a light cruiser and a bunch of destroyers. I do have access to casemate guns. These are pretty heavy. But I think it's the only way to actually add a bit more firepower to these things. This is also an option, just having a couple of 8-inch secondaries to deal with the destroyers and potentially with the light cruiser. And then try to fit a few more 6-inch casemate guns. I'm at 21,122 tons. Still need to add a funnel. 21.9. Engine efficiency 100%. Yeah, well, it's hard not to if you're doing 18 knots. Ah, this must be one of the weirdest battleships that I've built so far, with bow-mounted torpedo tubes. Out of curiosity, could I put one in front here? No. I can put a couple here, though. Right. I'm at 22,000 tons, so I'm not allowed to add anything more. So we're just going to have to go with the armor setup as is. Oh, this must be the weirdest ship that I've built lately. Let's go. Alright, my dear AI. Whoa, hello. What do you have for me today? We have the Argonaut, the Terrible, and the Hampshire. They seem to be packing a lot of secondaries. 2-inch, more 2-inch, 4-inch, 5-inch, and 8-inch mains. No fewer than 18 8-inch guns, which reload at 13 seconds. They have torpedo launchers, a couple underwater launchers, a lot of side mounts, and even a couple of sterns. Impressive. What do the Russians have? That's a destroyer. Oh, you look like a cute tiny boat. Just wait until it starts flinging torpedoes at you. This is what I think the light cruiser. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 turrets. 6 or 7 inch is my estimate. And then the battleship. Oh boy. That's a lot of guns. That's a lot of guns. I'm gonna have to use torpedoes to sink that monster. Range? 13.5. Torpedo range? 12.3. I'm gonna have to close in. But closing in at 18 knots is an exercise in patience. Alright, loss conditions were not stated. So I'd say if I lose the battleship, I'm pretty much done. That means that the heavy cruisers are going to have to pull their weight around here. And I'm going for just a completely offensive action with the cruisers. Trying to get close enough, but close enough is 7.7. So before I get close, I'll first have to start eliminating some lighter ships. Preferably light cruisers. And I'm hoping that my full speed of 36 knots is going to keep the Argonaut, Terrible, and Hampshire safe for the moment. The Hampshire is fighting back with 14-inch guns, but I only have one turret on the bow. So it's just 2 gun barrels, and they reload in 40 seconds. I don't know if this is going to be strong enough. Seriously, those torpedo tubes all over the ship. What is this monstrosity of a ship? The Russian battleship is heading that way. So I refuse to use the word intercept, but at least I need to be turning over that way if I want to have any sort of chance of closing the distance. Lots of shells going in on the Argonaut. I hope that she can survive for long enough. I really need an identification on the destroyers and the light cruiser to see what they're actually armed with and how much of a threat they are. No, I cannot properly hit these, so let's go for the battleship. 26% chance to hit. That's really good. I need you guys to start heading to port a bit more. Looks like the Royal Oak has done some damage against the Russian warship. Oh, lots of casemate guns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Royal Oak at 11 is in range. Let's see if she wants to launch torpedoes. Yeah. Hello? Anybody see my torpedoes? Because I haven't. I see just one. And I think that's the one from one of the port launchers. There was supposed to be a 10 stack of torpedoes departing from the Royal Oak. But it's anybody's bet where these things are now. See, that's the problem with these torpedo tubes that you mount on the bow of the ship. They just don't tend to want to work too well. There's another torpedo away. I'm pretty much single launching these torpedoes at this rate. Have we inflicted any decent damage against that ship? Not really. I'm still waiting for the lighter ships to come out of the smoke screens. Hold on, I might actually have a couple of decent torpedoes from these guys. 7-7. No, not in range yet. Argonaut, careful. She's putting out a lot of fire. Information, 50%. One problem that I foresee in this battle is that one or more cruisers will get torpedoed. Simply because I won't see the torpedoes coming until it's too late. The ship does seem to be going awfully slow. Look at all that damage. It's just one again. This is death by 1,000 cuts. 6-inch guns are engaging. 8-inch guns are engaging. That's that single 8-inch gun that I have on the port side. Oh, more torpedoes out. 1, 2, 3. All these single tubes. Oh, that's glorious. Seriously. The fuck is this? Here, torpedo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm keeping all of these screenshots. I think they're amusing. Maybe I should consider opening up an Instagram account just to be able to share stupid shit like this. Alright, are you guys finally done vaping so I can start shooting you? No, still not yet. Identification 70%. Range from the Argonaut 7-4. So on paper I'm in range. The problem is they... Oh. He's flooded. They're very visible, these things. Very, very visible. But if I don't launch soon, I won't have a launching ship to work with. So let's just see what I can do. With a bunch of single torpedoes departing from the Royal Oak. At this rate, I think she's going to be running out of torpedoes pretty quick. Identification 83. Argonauts. Torpedoes in the water. That's the single on the stern. These are the starboard launchers. Argonaut is opening up and making herself very vulnerable. I do realize that. But I'm trying to keep her alive. Terrible. Keep going. So far, I'm seeing a decent amount of damage on this ship, but I'm not seeing any floodings. Have I caused any? No, I caused 11 fires, but no flooding. Not a single one. Ah, the DDs are done vaping. Perfect. Have at them. Identification 88%. So I'll at least be able to see if they're targeting me. And if so, with what? Ah, we got the identification done. Peresvet. No torpedo tubes. 14-inch guns, just a lot of them. Reloads in 42.9 seconds, propellants high TNT. So probably good penetrative power. 8-inch casemates. 8-inch single secondary up on a very tall mount. 4-inch secondaries and 4-inch secondaries again. Right. Cruiser. No, I still don't know about the cruiser, but I'm close. 97%. What about the torpedoes from the Oak? I still have one and another one there. Peresvet can do 19 knots. Curious. Few bulkheads. Oh dear. Imagine if somebody launched a torpedo at you. Speaking of, the Royal Oak keeps dumping torpedoes in the water. You're supposed to be a battleship. Start acting like one. Alright, the Albatross has sent out torpedoes against one of my heavy cruisers. So has the Medkey. These are 18-inch torpedoes at a range of 12.3. Visibility is minus 80%. AKA, good luck spotting those things before they hit your ship. This looks really good, by the way. Now, if the torpedoes came from here, I need to be pointing towards them. Let's slow down a bit, make it a bit easier to hit. Albatross already taken a lot of damage. I do wonder who has done more damage. The Royal Oak has scored a total of 321 damage. The Terrible has scored 9.2. Wow. This one has scored 1300, the Hampshire. And the Argonaut has scored 28. 1300? Okay. That does seem like a lot. Oh, the Vet is good as dead at this range. She's gonna get hit by 5 torpedoes, if not more. There's still some torpedoes coming in from here, but I think that the Royal Oak didn't properly aim those. There's the Albatross. Heavy flooding. 1 hit, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Few bulkheads are now going to come back to bite you. Terrible launches again. Don't worry, stop kicking it, it's already dead. New target, Medkey. How visible are those? Minus 80%. Christ. Hold on. Yeah, that's a torpedo right there. I thought that that wasn't a tracer. It didn't look like a tracer to me. But dodging that? Oh. I'm misreading the situation. It's not coming at me, it's going away from me. That torpedo must have been launched by the Terrible. From probably the bow tube. Huh. Didn't expect that. Vet is flooding very quickly. So we won't have to deal with the Russian battleship very soon. And the Royal Oak is still chugging torpedoes. Here, torpedoes, 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 torpedoes everywhere. She hasn't actually hit one of them. She hasn't hit one of them. Oh well. I think it was the Argonaut, by the way, that did all the damage. Yeah, she scored 7 torpedo hits. Alright, we also got the light cruiser Rus. She does have torpedoes. Looks like side-mounted. Underwater. Oh, that's a lot of side-mounted torpedoes, too. She's an exceptionally long heavy cruiser. What's my chance to hit? 2.6%. Sheesh. That's pretty terrible. Javoy seems like it has recently sent out a torpedo salvo. Terrible. Turn hard to starboard. Increase speed. Where's the Argonaut? Argonaut has repaired the damage and is actually ready to get back into the fight. And the Royal Oak? Well, just close in, sort of. Stop dumping torpedoes into the water. And maybe use the casemates to do something. Has the Royal Oak even been hit? Yeah, she received 14 hits. No. Yeah, I think she got hit 14 times, but she didn't take a single scratch. As opposed to the Argonaut, which took 23 out of 1,800 hits. Oh, hold on, I'm misreading it. Yeah. There were 14 shells fired at her and 0 hit. Whereas the Argonaut, she has sustained 23 hits out of a total 1,300 shots fired at her, almost 1,400, and she took 297 damage. That's how I should be reading that. Whoa! Looks like dodging and changing formation was just in time, as these 3 torpedoes are just now approaching the Terrible and the New Hampshire. Or sorry, the Hampshire. And the DDs are vaping again. Aggressive port side torpedo launch from the Terrible. Oh goody. Chivoy's being hit pretty bad. No idea if I can launch against the Russ at this point. Let's try and flank them. I want the New Hampshire to keep going. Why do I call it keeping it... Why do I keep calling it New Hampshire? It's just the Hampshire. The Royal Oak rushing in at 18 knots. Flank speed ahead. Terrible has launched her torpedoes. Flash fire on a DD. Oh, buddy. Bow turret just got blown off. The ship... It actually looks worse than it is, I think. A few bulkheads, though. There's another big wave of torpedoes. I'm not sure if the Ross is able to avoid those. Look at this. Range 3 kilometers out. My accuracy is 1%. If I target the Russ instead, it jumps up to 20%. Not that I'm actually doing... Oh, maybe I am doing damage against her. Ammo detonation, but no flash fire. That's what I was hoping for. Those flash fires look so good that I want to see more of them. Torpedo when ready. Starboard torpedoes out from the Hampshire. Did she see the torpedoes? Yeah, she detected them. And she's working to evade. Oh, you've torpedoed 2 different ships? That's new? I didn't know they could do that. Unfortunately, these guys keep maneuvering, so it's pretty tricky to try and get any good hits on them. And they probably both have some sort of detection system. Yeah, sonar 3, the medkey, sonar 2. They'll definitely see these things coming. Russ still hasn't torpedoed, and the medkey is reloading. Oh dear. The Russ is now flooding, engine damage, rudder damage, on fire. So is the medkey. Hold on. The Terrible is firing at the Russ. The Argonaut is not firing, well, is trying to lock onto the destroyer, and the Hampshire... Ah, the Hampshire's doing damage against the medkey. For a second there, I thought that the shells coming in from the Terrible were actually the ones that were doing damage to the destroyer. But it's a misrepresentation, because it's also the 6-inch casemates from the Royal Oak. Oh, sorry, from the Royal Oak, from the battleship. Now, those torpedoes might accidentally hit something. These. Or at least force the destroyer to maintain course. Less maneuvering means easier to hit. Russ has avoided the torpedoes. The medkey, however, is making some really weird life choices. Turning starboard into the torpedo. I thought that was going to instantly kill her, but it didn't. It won't take much, though. She just sent out the torpedoes, though. Hold on. Against a heavy cruiser. Terrible. Turn hard. Hampshire, turn hard. I know the scenario is almost over, but I'd like to keep all of my ships alive, if at all possible. Metki is still surviving? Impressive ship. I'm really hoping that the Metki doesn't accidentally launch a whole bunch of torpedoes against either of my heavies. Because that would ruin my day. Royal Oak, range 4.4. She's actually quite close. If she hits with a 14-inch shell against the Russ, I think it's all over. 28% chance to hit. She's on fire. She's fighting the flooding. Maximum bulk. I don't get this. Why do you build your battleship with few bulkheads and your light cruiser with maximum? It seems so random. 32% chance to hit with the casemate guns. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Royal Oak is also looking very eagerly at the light cruiser as a snack for her torpedo tubes. 10% chance to hit with 6-inch casemates. Those 6-inch casemates were not a bad idea, I think. Terrible sinks the Metki, and the whole of the Russian group's been destroyed. Thereby, I think, cancelling out the invasion of Sweden. But I'll leave it up to God Emperor of Mankind, who created the scenario, to write up a postscriptum. What happened after? What happened after this battle? Let me know down below in the comments, and I look forward to seeing what the conclusion of the scenario is. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed that really weird battleship that I've built. I like that you can do weird stuff with this ship, with this game, with this editor. And sometimes I just make it my mission to try and get these weird sort of scenarios done. As I was developing the ship, I thought that was going to be pretty impossible because of that limit of 20,000 tons. But it turns out you can actually do it with a few shenanigans. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments, and I shall see you guys soon for the next video.